Prosecutors have told the court that on his computer devices there were plenty of documents that demonstrated he had a long-standing obsession with violence, killing and genocide, and that having researched atrocities and crimes committed by others, the evidence suggests, they said, that he set out to emulate them on the 29th of July last year.
Get a quick update on what's been happening at Liverpool Crown Court, where Axel Rudakubana is being sentenced for the murder of 3 girls in Southport last July and the attempted murder of 10 other people. Alex Dibble, Times Radio's Deputy Head of News, is here. He's been keeping across the story. Alex, Rudakubana was removed from the dock after shouting. What's been happening in his absence?
He was saying in the court that he was ill, that he wasn't feeling well. He repeatedly shouted for a paramedic, and the defence team then told the court that he hadn't eaten for a number of days, that he'd drunk very little over that period of time, and that was the explanation for why he was shouting. He said, "I can't remain quiet. I'm not going to remain quiet. I'm not feeling fine. I feel ill," and then accused the judge of not giving him any support. The judge told him to leave the dock and that he would be brought back later for sentencing. One of the victim's family members shouted "coward" as he left the dock. And a few minutes later, an officer returned to say that medical staff had seen Axel Rudakubana. They're happy with his state of fitness, but they wanted a second opinion. The judge decided that the sentencing hearing could continue in his absence. Prosecutors have told the court that on his computer devices there were plenty of documents that demonstrated he had a long-standing obsession with violence, killing and genocide, and that having researched atrocities and crimes committed by others, the evidence suggests, they said, that he set out to emulate them on the 29th of July last year. His only purpose was to kill, and he targeted the youngest, most vulnerable in order to spread the greatest level of fear and outrage, which they said he succeeded in doing. Whilst under arrest at the police station, he was heard to say, "It's a good thing those children are dead. I'm so glad and so happy." The prosecutors then proceeded to very clearly outline what happened on the day, describing the events and the chaotic scenes that happened when he entered the Heart studio space and began attacking children. The victims' families have been in court listening to all of this. It was then that the moment came to show CCTV again of what happened. Family members were given the option to leave the court. They decided not to, that they wanted to remain. And that is where we are. There are incredibly gruesome and upsetting details that are coming out, even today, about the scenes that happened when Axel Rudakubana began stabbing the children, how the people running the class tried to help the children, that one went into a toilet cubicle with a child and locked the door, thinking that the other children had escaped, only to continue to hear screams whilst they were inside the cubicle and realised that not everybody had escaped. That's just one detail. The sentencing is continuing at the moment, and there'll be a break for lunch, after which it will continue, and Axel Rudakubana is still due to be sentenced this afternoon.
Alex Dibble, Times Radio Head of News, thank you very much indeed. We'll, of course, be keeping across that horrifying story for the rest of the day.
Now, Axel Rudakubana is being sentenced for the murder of 3 girls in Southport last July and the attempted murder of 10 other people. The teenager pleaded guilty on Monday to the murders of 7-year-old Elsie Stankham, 9-year-old Alice De Silva Aguiar and BB King, who was 6. Alex Dibble is Times Radio's Deputy Head of News. And Alex, you've been following the events at Liverpool Crown Court today, so take us through what's been going on.
Well, I can tell you that in the last few minutes the sentencing hearing has resumed at Liverpool Crown Court, and not only that, Axel Rudakubana has re-entered the courtroom and is sitting in the dock. Earlier he was ejected from the courtroom, which has been the sort of drama really of the day in that sense, because he had been shouting that he was ill, that he needed a paramedic. The judge had to tell him that he needed to be quiet, and after repeatedly shouting, he was then told to leave the courtroom. The judge had been assured that he was fit before today's hearing began, that he should have been able to complete the sentencing hearing. So he went out, he was seen by a medical professional, and he is now back in court. The judge has added that if Rudakubana does disrupt things further, he will be removed again, but that he has indicated he is willing not to disrupt things. So that's kind of what is related to him. In terms of the sentencing itself, there's been a huge amount of emotion in the courtroom today because dozens of the victims' families are in court. And of course, they are having to listen, and this is the case with every sentencing, that the details of what happened on the day are described again by the prosecution and indeed by the judge too. And they're having to sit through that once more.
Right. I mean, it is just unimaginable. So we know that because he was only 17 when these appalling acts were committed, he cannot go to the prison for the rest of his life.
He can go to prison for the rest of his life, but not under a whole life term.
Right.
It's a subtle difference. The sentence that can be imposed upon him will have to be life with a minimum term of X number of years. That's for the judge to decide. That's the minimum number of years before which he's eligible for parole. It's possible that he is then denied parole for the rest of his life and still dies in prison. But the whole life order, which is the sentence that guarantees a prisoner dies in prison, cannot be applied to him because he was not yet 18 when he committed the offence, yeah.
Now, this could go on, one assumes, for a number of hours, actually.
Yes, because what happens is the prosecution deliver their closing comments, as they have done. The defence do mitigating circumstances. And then there are victim impact statements. And those today could be extensive, they could be lengthy, they will be incredibly emotionally charged. And after that, the judge has to return and pass sentence, and those sentencing remarks as well could be relatively lengthy. So we're in for another hour or two at least of today's hearing. One of the things that has happened is that CCTV footage from the police officers who first responded to this incident was shown to the court as they shouted "taser, taser" as they arrived at the dance studio and tried to find Axel Rudakubana as he was committing the attack. But that is one of the few things that have been played to the jury that won't hugely upset people in terms of the detail of it, because the rest of it is truly shocking.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say it's unbearable, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Alex Dibble, who's Times Radio's Deputy Head of News.